Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon A. Denson, and I'm here with my co-host Matthew R. Terrell. And we have a special guest today. Her name is Aysha Boston, a good friend of mine and a good friend of Matt's now. At this point, as we've been doing some creating today, shooting our Sony cameras, and just getting real acquainted. But Aysha, it's a pleasure to have you on the Bolus Maximus podcast. How are you feeling today?
Feeling great. Thanks for having me. And I have to just say, what up, though, to everybody from Detroit. So, of course, I have to let everybody know what up, though.
What up, though? That is a Detroit saying. Love it, love it, love it. So, let us know a little bit about you, who you are, and you know, what is a connection that you have to diabetes?
Yeah, so I am born and raised in Detroit, like I said. I've been in education. It's kind of where I met Brandon. Actually, not kind of. That is exactly where I met Brandon. We were working together at a high school. I was doing college access work, and we just hit it off on a creative tip. Ever since then, I've been pursuing photography alongside with him in videography. And I went through a few different phases. So right after education, I hopped into urban planning as a result of just like the lack of resources that students had and like the barriers to like college access and workforce development. And I was like, if I continue to work with kids in this capacity, I'm gonna burn out forever. So let's find some solutions outside of that. And then urban planning led me to real estate development, where I had a few positions, learning about affordable housing, learning about hospitality, and currently working on my builder's license. And so doing all of the
Is there anything that you don't do?
I ask myself that sometimes.
you know.
I try to be in a lot of spaces, and that's actually how I got here today. Advocating for health. Type 1 diabetes has run in my family, in my friendships, and I've just found myself in this space, and I'm just so grateful that the community accepts me and allows me to be an advocate in this space. So
That's awesome. So you said type 1, but what is type 2? You have a relationship type, so diabetes in general.
Diabetes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Man, this is I feel like this is long overdue. Like I know we talk a lot about a lot of different things, but obviously diabetes being in the forefront because obviously when we've been together are around each other, like my diabetes is something that you see me tackling, whether it's a high or a low or like needing a snack or, just checking my blood sugar. Like I know one thing you said the other day, you was like, well, it seems like you're not up and down like you like you were when I came in last time. So it's like for you to notice that and like pick up on stuff like that, like it makes me feel good because it's like you're aware of me, but like also looking out for me in a way. Is like I'm just making sure you good. I'm just making sure you okay.
Oh yeah. And I know it's linked to everything, right?
Yeah.
Like your highs and lows are linked to your mental health, physical health, and everything else. So I mean, like y'all are like red alerts. Honestly, like it you can just tell when a person who has type 1 diabetes specifically. It's just not at their best.
Yeah, that's what's up.
So Brandon mentioned that you had your father. Well, he maybe not specifically, but he said type 2 diabetes, and your father had type 2. Is that right?
Yeah. Still has it. Still lives with it. It seems like he's managing it a lot better these days, and I can just tell by his weight, his moods. So yeah, he has it. Type 1. My first encounter with type 1 is my great aunt, and I didn't realize it until I got older, but she was using insulin like when I was 10, and I'm like, what is this? She's pricking her finger and shooting up, and I'm just like, what in the world is this? And that just goes to show you that there's no real education about something that's so prevalent, but it's invisible if you're not really paying attention to it. And then also my cousin has type 1, and I have many unicorns friends, a lot more than most people do. So, yeah.
It's a lot, and it seems like nowadays it's more and more family, where people are like, oh yeah, so and so in my family has that, before it is a friend. And just in my personal experience, and I'm not a trained medical professional.
Yeah, we are not trained medical professionals. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer.
Disclaimer. Just throwing that out there.
That goes for all three of us.
Disclaimer.
So, yeah. I don't know. I think when I hear people talk about who they know with diabetes, it always feels like it was a family member. A lot of people don't go, it depends on the setting. Depends on where you are. But I feel like it's like, it's just more people that I've met have said that their family members have diabetes. I knew people whose family members had diabetes before I did, right? So I knew it was a thing, but like not about it.
Yeah.
So how, on a scale of 1 to 10, we're not going to quiz you, Aysha. Like, that's not how this is going to go. But I'm curious, based on your proximity to so many people with diabetes, like, how do you, on 1 to 10, like, how do you feel your knowledge is? And it's not, I'm not asking because I got to know, but I'm curious because how many people, if you feel like you're a 4 or a 5 and we talk about it and someone goes, oh, I feel like I'm worse than that, or I feel like I'm better than that. Like, we want to try to help people get to a place where they can be comfortable talking to their family, right? So I would say,
yeah,
how would you rate yourself?
I would say,
Excuse me.
I just want to say like 6 or 7, right? Because I think I'm a little outdated in my knowledge.
That's
I
still
haven't
a
lived
strong
with my
number.
dad. Yeah, I haven't lived with my dad in a while. I haven't lived with my aunt. Brandon is unfortunately moved thousands of miles away from me. And I still have like random things from him like in my car that I just hold on for forever because I'm like, what if he needs it? So I just want to say like 6 or 7 because I'm like outside looking in at this point.
Yeah, but those are all of those things contribute to that strong number, right? Because you have those realizations when you're home, even though he's not around, and you're like, I should keep that. I'm going to keep that.
Just in case.
Yeah. So like, I would say there are days when you don't see Brandon, you don't see any family members maybe, but you may see something that triggers that thought where it's like, oh yeah, that makes me think of Brandon.
Yeah.
That could be like any piece of candy, but like,
for sure candy.
Without a doubt.
Sure. Gummy lifesaver.
Oh man. Do we have any of those?
him and I have been hanging out for a while, like in the last like year and a half, like every couple days. I'm like, oh man, we've gone through so many snacks.
It's a real thing.
So many.
But you said like, far as the, like Matt asked, as far as the knowledge, and this is something that I think is important, like people living with any form of diabetes, that there's always caregivers and the people that are living with it. There's always a learning component that comes with it from day to day because no one day is ever the same, So I think like you throwing out the strong 6 or 7, like that's a high number. You know what I mean? Considering you're not someone that has to live with it every day, but you have a good understanding of how it operates and how it affects people living with diabetes. Like you said something about your father, weight, mood. Like I think hitting on mood, but then also understanding the mood can trigger something with the mental health. So if the mood is off, where's the mindset? You know what I mean? So like you being able to pick up on stuff like that, your average person would just be like, "Oh, it's something wrong with him," and it's like, well, if it's something wrong, what's wrong? You know what I
Or
mean?
that they're an angry person.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which there are.
I would be angry too if my
There are
blood
some-
sugar was low.
There are some angry people out there. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But I think you're right that people ultimately, like you said, your father's weight, his mood improved, his weight went down. Like I, as a type 1, feel like the same thing, like lose weight, use less insulin. Like that'll contribute to my overall physical health. And then, yeah, my mental health is going to be improving because I'm going to be positive, happy,
Yep.
energetic about that life.
Correct.
Yeah.
Regulated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now that you brought that up about energetic, do
Energy. Sorry.
does like is your dad active, or the people that you know that have diabetes, like are they active? You know, or and if they are, like what are some of the things that they do?
Yeah, so my dad is a pretty avid walker. That's his thing. That's his claim to fame.
Like that's some of the best exercise.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah, full body, distance walking.
Your last name's Boston? Is it Boston?
It is.
What's up, Mr. Boston? I'm a walker, too. I like that. Sorry, I just shout out your dad.
What
Hey,
up?
Dad. But I don't see a lot of my younger friends who have type 1 as active, or even type 2. I think Brandon is the most active, and I think that's natural because he's an athlete.
Former athlete.
Current athlete.
I haven't seen it.
Have you seen this dude on Blades before?
Yeah. Everybody in Mission Beach has.
So yeah, I don't see some of my. I mean, we're up there now. I'm gonna call it us younger, but some of my more mature friends within my age range, I don't see them as active.
That's interesting that you say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like a lifestyle. Like they just haven't gotten to the point where they're like, okay, my lifestyle requires me to do these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I know they're probably going through life like everybody else. Like, and then you add, you know, this disease on top of it as well. Like, even through COVID, I'm like, I can barely think about what I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
Morning, day,
Right.
night. And so I can only imagine if like your body is like, I need this, and you're like going through COVID, going through life, going through work.
Sugar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. No, that can
That's crazy.
yeah, it's like you bring up great points. Like, you know, the simple fact, like going through COVID, the mental mindset, you know, the exercise, like where people are at, and then also like I guess being conscious of what you eat through this period, through this time, which is, I know it's been pretty tough for me personally. So, you know, I don't want to speak for everybody else, but, you know, through this time, you know, so eating better and then like also paying attention to the exercise. Like, you know, I can honestly say for me lately, the exercise has been low on the lower level, but like the walking is something that's like I can walk. Like there is no excuse like to do some type of movement. I get a lot of the walking stuff from you because you're like, oh, I just need to take a brisk walk real quick.
But like,
And I know me and Matt, like we'll step outside and take a walk around the, you know, the apartment
4
complex,
times.
you know, like, you know, just to get the wheels turning and then go back. And, you know, next thing you know, we just walk 45 minutes, like just talking about things and, you know, whether it's diabetes related or not, you know, but still just taking that time to get that little bit of exercise that makes a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to really say, and I know you all have all types of technologies, but Apple Watch has been like my saving grace, honestly. As far as like tracking my health, my fitness, my steps, even getting like on Nike Run Club, shameless plug, and just like having some accountability partners in that space too. Like you can build communities silent communities.
Buddy.
Hey, I see you didn't walk your steps today. What's up? I see you're number 4 on the leaderboard. What's going on?
Ooh.
Yeah. Yep.
Not top 3, number 4.
4 out of 4.
But I'm glad you brought that up because we've talked about previously when we spoke about exercise and diabetes and like just moving and like being able to move. And I think that Apple has significantly improved people's lives. It goes, oh, they're a terrible company. Well, okay, they're a big corporation. We get it. But being able to look at that on my watch, like you said, like I used to fight myself to go back out and keep walking to hit the target.
Closing the rings, baby.
Like, let's
Closing
get those
the
rings.
Awesome.
I don't do that anymore.
Closing the rings.
I need to. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and I'm down to like add either one of you on my Nike app club, and we can always be accountability partners.
Accountability buddy.
So I gotta get back in. I have to get another Apple Watch. Mine, I had the first generation. It's completely.
I think I do too.
It's completely like it's falling apart. Like I don't even. The back came off. Like It's dead. Like we just gonna. My watch is dead.
Actually, I think mine is on its way out as well.
Oh
it's a
man,
first gen.
It's
Versus second.
The life of that thing is gone. So we
Think about where it is from when it came out to where it is now. Dexcom just launched a collaboration with Garmin.
yeah.
So now if you wear a Garmin watch or smartwatch rather, you can see your Dexcom information. What I'm looking for is when Apple has the sensor on the back of the watch so that I don't have anything under my skin.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yo, and speaking of technology,
Call me. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. I was watching a commercial and I couldn't tell if it was like a diabetes commercial, but it was like a tag that someone had on their arm and they just brought their phone up to it. And
Circular.
Circular. Okay, I thought that was
sorry.
pretty sweet.
It's a circular piece. Yes.
Oh, it's sorry.
It's called the Freestyle Libre.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I
Yep.
saw that and I was like, that's pretty cool. Can I cuss on this? That was pretty cool.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want to do.
I have to edit it, but like, yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, I thought that was super cool. And I don't know, and I guess I would have to ask you all, like, have you heard much about it? Like your experience with it? Do you think it's something that's cool? I mean, not cool, but like helpful.
Yeah, everybody checks themselves when they say something like is cool when we're talking about things with diabetes because they think, maybe not you, but maybe this is you right now. Like you think you just said like, yeah, it sounds like in your head you're like diabetes is cool,
Right? And that's why I'm like, wait, no.
and then
not.
everybody goes, I didn't.
No, it's
That's
not.
not how
It's
it-
not a trend.
It's not how I meant that. And I'm like, yeah, I know, dude.
Look.
Like you would be a real big a-hole.
Diabetes is cool. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Right. It is.
Don't you see these two
It's
cool devices right
strangers.
here as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are these things?
These are glucoses.
So happy you asked.
So closest.
they're lifesavers and they're light savers. No pun intended.
Cool.
But they're glucoses and they actually let us know what our glucose is between a range by looking at the color. By just seeing the color, we can typically know about what the range of our blood glucose levels are, which is pretty awesome. And I just got to say this again.
Yeah, we are not trained medical professionals. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
I'm
There you go.
gonna go out on a limb here and say nobody thought we were, but we do have to say it. So it is important for us to do
No, but
that.
these are, and I know when you came out here last time, I don't know if it was hooked up. I think it was. But yeah, it's something simple like for a caregiver or like, let's say your father or somebody else that you know besides me, like you literally could have this at your house and know what their blood glucose range is
Yeah.
by just having it plugged in, hooked up to the Wi-Fi, running through SugarMate. Like it's
We would have to put a graph up of how we connect the dots, but you can do it. Is the bottom line is that
yeah.
you can make it happen.
yeah.
You got to follow this, and they got to follow that, and they got to be accepted to this and that.
Yeah.
it's not like the end of the world, but there should be better tech where you and dad can. But as of right now, like this is where we're at. My blood sugar is about 154 milligrams per deciliter. So my glucose is a nice mild blue. It's blue. And so if my blood started to go up, it would change to what Brandon's is a little bit more on the purple side.
I'm a little bit more elevated, and just so we can give you a real raw number, I'm 270 and going up right now. So yeah,
It's okay. Do you need some insulin?
I have some right here
I have
on the
some.
table.
You're faster than I am. I don't have any right here. Anyways, but it's interesting. Like just as Brandon said, you'd be able to see your dad's information or your family members' information. Now, granted, you'd have to have 3 or 4 of them and write their names on them.
Yeah.
But like, that's the reality for some mothers who have 2 kids, single moms, single dads, grandparents, watching kids. Someone's going to use this, and it's going to help change how they look at diabetes
Definitely.
in general. I think personally, but
So, what, like we talked about the tech, we talked about the mental health, we talked about exercise. What are some tips you would give to like somebody that has a loved one or a friend that has not even just type 1, that has diabetes in general? Like, what are some things that you would tell them to be maybe conscious of, or maybe understanding, or, what tidbits of advice would you give to somebody?
I would say first that it's an invisible disease, and so you just don't know what someone's ever going through. It's so important to be mindful of that, be thoughtful of that. So that would be my first tidbit. Second one is like educate yourself. There's tons of information out here. At least at the least, like know the signs to look for when somebody is, because my dad actually went into a diabetic coma.
really,
So I've gotten the extremes, and he had to be like hospitalized. I had to like carry him to the car, and drive him, and like, I had no idea what was going on, what to do.
Super scary.
Yeah, it was super scary. And so, that really woke me up. That was the point where I was like, okay, I need to be more invested in what this is.
Yeah.
So like, educate yourself, talk to people, check on your loved ones as often as you can. Make sure, you know their habits, because I think a lot of people with diabetes have to have habits.
Healthy, good habits.
Yeah. I mean, even like I see when I came out here with Brandon, like it's like I have a banana in the morning. Same with Matt. Like this morning, I had a banana this morning. It's just certain
Banana
habits.
gang.
Yeah, it's just certain habits that that people need to have, and that you can like be mindful of.
It's not easy. It's not easy even not having diabetes, but yeah.
And don't ever expect the day to be the same. I think those are my biggest tidbits. Like, know there's an invisible disease. Like, they might not know what's going on with them. You might not know what's going on with them. Sometimes you definitely need to educate yourself, and then also, just be mindful of like their habits.
I think that's great advice, because picking up on something that somebody does on a regular basis is pretty easy, but something that somebody doesn't do that often. So if the habit is more on the negative side, where like every time they do this, they're going low, like you have a habit of talking in circles. Yes, I do. I've done that a lot of times. So, let me ask you one more question here. Take a second. So if your family is so uh we'll say involved in the diabetes community, meaning they have to go to meetings and your father is going to see doctors and your great aunt, where within the greater population of the community that you live in do you see diabetes? So it's pretty close to home.
Yeah. I was about to ask. A great question. Yeah, it's close to home. And I mean, also too, I like go to like JDRF rallies and
Nice.
and so like I get a lot more exposure than most people, but is typically close to home. Like I either know this person or I met this person through somebody else.
Yeah.
I typically don't do this, but you mentioned something about JDRF. Is there anything there that you see that's missing, especially coming from Detroit? Like after you've actually attended a few events with me, far as doing videography stuff, and just like engaging
Great question.
with companies. I mean, I have tons of footage of this stuff happening.
Yeah.
But would you say there's one thing that stands out to you that you didn't see a lack of, or anything?
Yeah, of course, like black people, people of color, diversity. It seems very polarized in those spaces. Like you kind of know who it's either. I don't know if it's like a ignorance thing, like a lack of just like knowing, or like outreach. People just not aware of the things that are going on, or aware that these communities exist for them, or it's just like they aren't invited in these spaces in the same ways that other people are. I'm not really sure how that works, but I've definitely noticed that like there are like a handful of people of color.
And that you see that, I would assume that everybody can see, you know.
Yeah, and I mean I know 7 people, and none of them said anything about
So
going
like,
to JDR.
so this is like
rallies.
this is how I think about it, because when we talk about the black community and the involvement in walks and so on, it's like whenever I went to those events, they weren't very diverse. They were super white. That's what
Yeah.
they look like. And the breast cancer walks, the diabetes walks that my family did, like we did a bunch of them. And I think about like how our influence in what we do with Bolus Maximus is going to help break some of that conversation. Like it's not a real thing. Like people don't really talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they don't really, it just doesn't happen.
For sure. I think our impact within Bolus Maximus has been. I mean, we're nowhere near where we want to go, but we've started, to have those tough discussions about those things, about how can we diversify it, how can we bring everybody to the same table, no matter how you identify, where you're from, what your race is, how much money you have, because living with this invisible disease, like we have to meet people where they're at, no matter what. You know what I mean? And it's not easy. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but at the same time, we deal with the same things that a lot of people deal with, whether it's from a caregiver perspective or the person living with it. So, at the end of the day, who are we to turn somebody away from that table? Like who are we to say because you don't have this, you're not welcome here? You know what I mean? Because there's always a space for you. If you want it, it's like you have open arms. They're open arms. We have open arms.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty in being I would like to call y'all like a grassroots organization.
Thank you.
And that's the beauty of it. Like you create the space, you set the tone for the space. Like you are the space. You're a safe space for people to come. And I always feel safe when I'm around both of you. Even though like I feel like I need to be the caregiver. It's like y'all are taking care of me in a lot of ways, because like you are going through this process every day, and living this life every day. So it's like, oh, Matt's like every 5 seconds, like, everyone good? We good here?
Yeah.
Need anything?
Yeah.
Need anything? Brandon, same way. So I think that's the beauty of being in a grassroots space. And sometimes it's a curse, you know, because you're not institutionalized. You're not getting that funding, those dollars.
Yep.
You're inventing everything on spot.
Trailblazers, innovators, you know.
Yeah. But, you know, it pays off later because you've already laid the foundation for something that's going to be magnified beyond your thoughts.
It's way bigger than us.
Yeah, it's bigger than you.
It's way bigger than us.
Because there are so many more million people that need to be impacted.
Well, we will take that money though. But just throwing that out there.
GoFundMe, Cash App,
Like,
Patreon.
Okay. Yeah. No, because you know that's gonna be, as we transition to start to do more programming outside of consecutive support group meetings every Sunday for over a year and a half.
That's where that money's going.
You know, so, you know, the transparency of it, the things that we're trying to implement are not just things that are like, oh yeah, we think we should do this. This is coming back from the community on, this is what needs to be in place. These are programs that need to be there for youth and adults and men and LGBTQ. And, you know, these are important because, like I said, there's a spot for you at this table if you want to sit at this table. Like, it's like you walk into that lunchroom and it's divided. It's like, this is on this side, this on this. No. Every table, it's a mix-up at every table, you know, and that's important.
Yeah. Can I kind of put y'all on the spot really quick?
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
I just want to know, like, what dang, I want to know what the community is saying, like what they need, like what type of programming.
Ooh,
Great question.
it's a great question. And I think it's probably the number one question that doesn't get asked. And it doesn't get asked enough. Is like, hey, what do all of you individuals, what do you want? Right? I think I worked with an organization that was very adamant about putting a app out, and I realized that. Thanks, Forrest. I realized that in their mind, they were doing the community a favor by putting the app out, but they didn't ask anybody like what they wanted out of it. They just did it, and it like didn't make sense. It didn't. And it was really weird because like the community could have used that space that they had, but the messaging that was coming across was, it just was weak. It was weak. I don't know. So I think about how community engagement for people, they see just that one organization's posts and stuff go up, and they don't see anybody else. So that's where Brandon and I are like, hey, we're like popping up at the bottom of your screen if you're scrolling through your social media feed, and we're like, hey, did you stop and see us recently? Hey. So
and I think it goes to, you know, if Target can only reach so many people, Walmart can only reach so many people based on location, demographic, where they are. So there's always going to be this hole. It's always going to be this gap. You know, first and foremost, it's about the community. So we can't build anything without listening to them, because at the end of the day, if we're not listening to them, we're building it only off of what we think should be there. And I think youth programming, we think of outdoors activities. We wanna bridge that gap on the lifestyle of being a diabetic. And I don't want anybody to take this wrong, because I know a lot of people say, oh, well, don't call me a diabetic. I'm someone that lives with diabetes. However you identify with it, you have diabetes. So if it's a diabetic, you are a diabetic, but it doesn't define who you are or what you're capable of doing. So when we look at how do we shift and change the narrative of what that looks like. It's not you changing anything that you do. It's you understanding that you can do whatever the hell it is that you want to do. You just have to do it in a different way than everybody else has to do it daily. But it doesn't change what you're capable of doing because you live with this disease. And I think we constantly want to show that, but not just from our perspective, but from everybody living with this disease. And then, also having the support of caregivers and such on and so forth, and also licensed medical professionals. Because I think we get this like, oh, well, the doctor said this, and the doctor doesn't feel what you feel. They can tell you to do something, but they don't feel what you feel. So it's about bringing, like I said, it's always going to come back to the table. We all have to collectively come to the table, break bread with each other, and then go on, and then come back to the table, break bread, and then go on. It's about always coming together and listening, and then going from there. Because the licensed medical professionals don't know everything, and we damn sure don't know everything. You know what I mean? So collectively together, we always have to talk about that and like what's best for individuals within certain demographics and cultures and races and things like that. Because the access to a lot of things, it changes once you're talking about here or there, or Southwest Detroit versus Canton, Michigan. It's a difference. Like whether you're from the suburbs of Chicago, Evanston, or you live in the hood in Chicago. Like there's a big difference. It's a big difference. Yeah.
And that's a great point. I think you brought up something that is really important to highlight too. It's like living more like fearlessly with this. Like I realized a lot of my friends and even my dad, like I just felt like there was a lot of shame in having diabetes. And I don't know if it's just like inappropriate to like prick your finger in public or like because of blood. No, I'm just like because of blood.
It's real.
Yeah, like but people really do that. Like it wasn't really until I met Brandon. He was like, I'm about to whip out my whole kit. I got 7 different devices. So
you go like to show off like that.
go inspect your gadget.
Exactly. It wasn't until I met Brandon that I was like, oh, okay, like this guy, like he lives like authentically with this. Whereas like, my dad or my aunt or my friends, like there's a lot of shame. Like I have a friend who I didn't find out he was type 1 diabetic until he passed out from drinking, like alcohol.
Ooh, see.
And he hid that from us for a long time.
I'm not going to say anybody ever has to do anything, but I strongly encourage anybody listening and watching who lives with diabetes to talk to your friends, the person, if you live by yourself, right? If you haven't noticed, we're not in the thebolusmaximus headquarters. We are in a hotel. If you were in this space and this is your apartment and the person that lives next door to you is a complete stranger, but you live by yourself, I would advocate for you to go and say, hey, build some kind of relationship. Not like, hi, I'm Matt, I'm a type 1 diabetic. It's not like that. It's like, know that after you build a little bit of a relationship, you might be able to sprinkle that in there and say, I might need your help one day.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like. I have a habit of doing X, right? So it's important to talk about it. And some people are completely like no talk, no emotion, nothing.
Yeah. And so actually the person I was talking about is like he's a black guy. And so I already kind of know how health is like kind of taboo, especially for black men, like going to the doctor, checking on your health regularly. So I can only imagine like living with diabetes and already having that like stigma on you to be seen as weaker or less masculine. Yeah. Because you live with something that you have no control over. So I know there's so much shame in For some people, not everybody. For some people,
Yeah.
to even admit that they have like this quote unquote deficiency, right?
And it's a tough conversation. You know what I mean? It's tough. It's tough. It's like you're tough, but you're not tough enough to like face something that actually could help you if you face it versus oh no, I'm gonna just muster through it. And it's like no. Let's not go that route because, you know, it doesn't end well, you know, so
Yeah, because I mean, the storylines can change. It goes from, yo, you know, Brandon is passed out on the couch because he drank too much. Oh, he's so weak, to actually, well, Brandon has diabetes, so he can't drink as much as everybody else.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like that makes you seem a
That's
little
'cause he says
stronger.
no
Probably.
bit.
Right. That for me makes you feel. That makes me feel like you're more you're stronger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Toxic masculinity
Talk about it.
exists in more people's heads than is given credit for, because a lot of people aren't challenged when they make a comment, because most males will react that they need to correct what they're doing because it's wrong. If they're told, that's how I was. My ex was like, when I say something like, I don't like that you do this, doesn't mean to correct it. And I was like, I can't fix everything. No shit. That relationship didn't get fixed. So I can't fix everything. I realize that. But like, having the like, it's important to know that.
Yeah.
Like, know what you can affect, what you can change.
And just being aware, you
Yeah.
know, aware. The awareness is one of the most important things. Now, this has been awesome. How do you feel? This has been awesome.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm glad I'm able to talk about my experiences.
Yeah.
As a you know, third party advocate. Indirectly.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Living with.
You're in a lot of ways, you're a caregiver.
Yeah. Caregiver.
Because you give care.
Long story short, I'm a caregiver.
Like, care doesn't look like a cookie, but like, you give care in a way that your father feels it, right? Your other family members feel it.
Yeah.
And so
I feel it.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, as a friend, as
Yeah.
a supporter.
All hearts.
Yeah.
All hearts.
Yeah.
Blue hearts, baby.
Blue hearts.
No, this is like I said, this has been awesome. Like I appreciate you coming on to the Bolus Maximus podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
No, always.
Oh, I appreciate everybody listening. Thank you so much. Check us out on YouTube. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. Not that much. We are on SoundCloud. We are on Pandora on our podcast. Check us out on major platforms every Sunday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UK. I got you, bro. Check us out. We're on Zoom, coming at you live every week. You can find us. We appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by.
Keep it 100.
Peace.